The songs you grew up with seemed so carefree. Dancing at weddings, playing on the radio during long summer drives, soundtracking the best years of your life. But behind those melodies were stories nobody talked about. Today we're revealing the disturbing true origins of top 10 hits from the 1970s. Number 10. Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
Terry Jacks' 1974 mega hit spent 3 weeks at number 1 and sold over 14 million copies worldwide. The melody sounds almost cheerful, like something you'd hear at a high school graduation. Listen closer to what's actually being said, and you hear a dying man saying goodbye to everyone he loves.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
The song wasn't originally Jacques' creation. Belgian singer Jacques Brel wrote Le Moribond in 1961, reportedly in a brothel in Tangier. Brel's version told the story of a man dying of a broken heart after discovering his wife had been cheating on him with his best friend. Even as he lay dying, the betrayal consumed him. The original was performed as a marching song, delivered with bitter irony. Brel's version was considerably darker than what American audiences eventually heard. The dying man addresses his best friend who had been sleeping with his wife, a priest, and his unfaithful wife herself. The tone was sardonic and bitter, a man mocking his own tragic circumstances. This was classic Brel, transforming pain into theatrical performance art. Rod McEwen translated it into English in 1963, and the Kingston Trio recorded the first English version in 1964. When Jacques heard it, he recognized something powerful in the melody but found the lyrics too dark. Then, one of his closest friends was diagnosed with acute leukemia and given 6 months to live. He was gone in 4 months.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
Jacques rewrote the lyrics while his friend was dying, removing the infidelity and creating a more peaceful farewell. He originally intended it for the Beach Boys, and even produced a session with them, but they abandoned the recording, calling it too wimpy. Jacques recorded it himself in 1973. What many people don't know is that Jacques Brel, the original songwriter, was himself dying of cancer when Jacques' version became a worldwide hit. Brel had retired from performing at the peak of his career and gave no explanation. Years later, the truth emerged. He'd been fighting a 6-year battle against cancer. He died in October 1978.
By my friend, it's hard to die.
The song that topped charts around the world was created by one man watching his friend die, based on a song by a man who was secretly dying himself. People interpreted it as they needed to. Some thought it was about suicide. Cancer patients found comfort in it. Others played it at graduations, somehow missing that it's literally about death. Jacques later said people wanted to kill him because they thought it was written about their son who'd committed suicide. The misunderstandings were painful, but the song connected with people's grief in ways Jacques never anticipated.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
Number 9. Alone Again, Naturally by Gilbert O'Sullivan. Gilbert O'Sullivan's 1972 smash hit is one of the cheeriest sounding songs about suicide ever written. The melody bounces along with an almost whimsical quality while the lyrics describe a man climbing to the top of a nearby tower to throw himself off after being left at the altar.
Climbing to the top, throw myself off.
The song spent 6 non-consecutive weeks at number 1 in America and became the second biggest hit of 1972. People sang along without really processing what they were singing. The narrator contemplates suicide in the first verse, questions whether God exists in the second, and in the third verse remembers his father dying and his mother dying shortly after from a broken heart. O'Sullivan, an Irish singer-songwriter, wrote the song when he was in his early 20s. The deceptively light arrangement featured classical guitar and O'Sullivan's clear, almost innocent-sounding voice. He channeled feelings of isolation and abandonment into this deceptively upbeat package. The contrast between the light, almost playful melody and the devastating lyrics creates a disturbing effect. You could easily mistake it for a love song if you weren't paying attention.
Truly I'm indeed alone again.
The production choices made the darkness even more unsettling. Gordon Mills produced the track with a deliberately bright, radio-friendly sound. The acoustic guitar solo provides the only moment where the music acknowledges the heaviness of the story. Otherwise, it sounds like it should be playing during a sunny afternoon, not accompanying thoughts of suicide and existential despair.
Alone again, naturally.
The song's title itself is darkly ironic. Alone again naturally suggests this is a familiar state, that isolation is the narrator's natural condition. He's not surprised to be alone. He expects it. This resigned acceptance of loneliness and contemplation of suicide, masked by a cheerful melody,
Looking back over the years, whatever else has appeared.
made it one of the most unsettling hits of the decade. Critics later called it overly sentimental, and it appeared on lists of the worst pop songs ever recorded. But its commercial success proved that millions of people connected with that feeling of profound loneliness, even if they danced to it at parties.
Cried and cried all day, alone again.
Number 8. Dancing in the Moonlight by King Harvest. This 1972 hit radiates joy and innocence. The keyboard melody sparkles, the lyrics celebrate a perfect night of dancing under the stars, and the whole thing feels like pure happiness. The true story behind its creation is anything but joyful.
Everybody here is out of sight, but they don't.
In 1969, songwriter Sherman Kelly was working at a nightclub in St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. One day, he and friends rented a yacht to visit nearby St. Croix. Kelly got severely seasick during the crossing. When they arrived, his friends went to find dinner while Kelly and his girlfriend stayed behind, still too nauseated to eat. They had no money for a hotel because Kelly had left his wallet on the boat. With nowhere to go, they decided to sleep on the beach. Kelly woke to 5 men beating him with baseball bats. The gang's leader raped his girlfriend while the others continued the assault on Kelly. When the rest of the gang lined up to take their turn with his girlfriend, Kelly somehow found the strength to fight back despite his injuries. With Kelly drifting in and out of consciousness, the couple managed to follow lights along the shore to the only hospital on St. Croix. Kelly suffered multiple facial fractures and was left for dead. Kelly heard it all. He did survive, but the physical and emotional trauma stayed with him. The recovery was long and painful. Kelly returned to his home in Ithaca, New York, dealing with constant headaches and pain. He was in no shape to perform or tour. During those dark days of healing, he began writing. While recovering from his injuries, Kelly wrote the song. He later explained that he envisioned an alternate reality, a dream of a peaceful and joyous celebration of life. It was imagining a better world than the one he'd just experienced. The gang that attacked them was later identified as the Fountain Valley Gang. In 1972, the same year King Harvest's version of the song became a hit, that gang murdered 8 American tourists and injured 8 more at St. Croix's Fountain Valley Golf Course. Kelly's band Boffalongo first recorded the song in 1970, but it went nowhere. When Kelly's brother Wells Kelly joined King Harvest, he introduced the song to them. Their 1972 version with Doc Robinson on lead vocals became the hit everyone remembers. That bright, happy song about dancing in the moonlight was written by a man who'd been beaten nearly to death on a moonlit beach. Number 7. Bad Girls by Donna Summer. Donna Summer's 1979 disco hit about prostitutes on Sunset Boulevard seemed like typical club music. The bouncy rhythm and Summer's powerful vocals made it a dance floor staple, but the song came from anger about racial profiling and police harassment. One of Summer's assistants, a young black woman, was leaving the recording studio late at night when police stopped her. They assumed she was a prostitute and harassed her despite her explanations. The woman was terrified and humiliated by the encounter. When Summer heard what happened to her assistant, she was furious. She sat down and wrote the lyrics in just a few hours, largely ad-libbing in the studio. The song became her direct commentary on how police treated women, particularly women of color, on the streets at night. Summer's record label initially thought the song was too dark for her image and tried to get Cher interested in recording it instead. Summer insisted on keeping it. The song went to #1 and became one of her biggest hits. But most people dancing to it had no idea it was born from an incident of racial profiling and the dangerous assumptions made about women alone at night. Number 6. Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. Eric Clapton's 1970 masterpiece is one of rock's greatest love songs, but it's built on betrayal and unrequited obsession. Clapton was desperately in love with Pattie Boyd, who was married to his best friend, George Harrison. Harrison had written something about Pattie, creating one of the most beautiful love songs ever recorded. The irony was cruel. While Harrison was declaring his love through music, the marriage was crumbling. Harrison was moody and demanding, insisting Pattie give up her acting career. The woman who had inspired one of the Beatles' most tender love songs was increasingly isolated and unhappy. She found comfort talking to Clapton, who was a frequent visitor to their home. The three of them would spend time together, creating an unbearable tension. Clapton would watch Pattie with Harrison, consumed by feelings he couldn't express. For years, Clapton and Pattie resisted crossing the line into an actual affair, but the emotional connection was undeniable. Clapton's feelings consumed him. Unable to have the woman he loved, unable to confess to his best friend, he lost himself in heroin addiction. The drug numbed the pain of wanting someone he couldn't have. In his deepest despair, he wrote Layla, naming it after the Persian love story, the story of Layla and Majnun, about a man driven mad by impossible love. The song's structure mirrors Clapton's emotional state. The opening riff is aggressive, almost angry. The verses are pleading and desperate. Then comes the famous piano coda, written by drummer Jim Gordon during his own struggle with mental illness. That coda brings an almost unbearable sadness, a sense of resignation and loss. Pattie and George finally separated in 1974. Clapton got clean and married Pattie in 1979, but that marriage also ended in divorce. The song born from desperate, forbidden love became Clapton's signature tune. Played millions of times without most people knowing, it documented him coveting his best friend's wife. Number 5. The Needle and the Damage Done by Neil Young.
I watched the needle take another man.
Neil Young's haunting 1972 acoustic ballad sounds mournful and personal. It was. Young wrote it about watching heroin destroy his friend and bandmate from Crazy Horse, Danny Whitten. Whitten was a talented guitarist and singer, but his addiction was destroying him and undermining recording sessions. The drugs took over his life, making him unreliable and unable to perform at the level everyone knew he was capable of. Young made the painful decision to fire Whitten from the sessions for After the Gold Rush in 1970 because the drug abuse made him unable to perform. The line, "I hit the city and I lost my band," referred directly to that choice.
I hit the city and I lost my band.
Young watched his friend deteriorate, knowing he couldn't save him. He wrote the song as Whitten was still alive, documenting the ongoing tragedy. In 1972, Whitten was given another chance and invited to join the tour, supporting Young's Harvest album. Young hoped his friend had gotten clean, that this second opportunity would help turn things around.
I sing the song because I love the man.
Whitten showed up to rehearsals completely strung out, unable to keep up with the other musicians. He couldn't remember the songs, couldn't play the parts. Young faced the heartbreaking reality that his friend was beyond help. He fired him again and gave him $50 and a plane ticket home to Los Angeles.
I watched the needle take another man.
Hours later, Whitten was dead from an overdose of alcohol and Valium. Young was devastated. He tried to help his friend and ended up sending him to his death. The song Young had already written about Whitten's addiction took on new, tragic meaning. What had been a lament about addiction became a eulogy. Young performed it live, usually solo with just his acoustic guitar and harmonica. The sparse arrangement emphasized the sadness and loss. Every time he played it, he was remembering his friend and the damage done. Not just to Whitten, but to everyone who loved him.
I watched the needle take another man.
Number 4. I Wish It Would Rain by The Temptations.
But I wish it would rain. Oh, yeah, yeah.
The Temptations' 1967 hit carried David Ruffin's anguished vocals over a melody about a heartbroken man wishing for rain to hide his tears. The song dripped with genuine emotion because the man who wrote it was falling apart. Roger Penzabene wrote the lyrics after discovering his wife had been unfaithful. He'd also written "You're My Everything" for The Temptations, but "I Wish It Would Rain" came from a darker place. He poured his heartbreak and sense of betrayal into every line. The song was released as a single on December 21st, 1967. 10 days later, on New Year's Eve, Penzabene took his own life. He was 27 years old. The song that audiences heard on the radio was literally the last thing he wrote before he died. David Ruffin's vocal performance carries the weight of Penzabene's pain. The Temptations didn't write their own material during their peak years, but Ruffin had a gift for interpreting lyrics with deep feeling. He couldn't have known how prophetic his anguished delivery would become. The song that people slow danced to, that played at proms and on late-night radio, was created by a man in such despair that he couldn't see a way forward. His final artistic statement became a Motown classic, forever associated with heartbreak. Number 3. Hotel California by Eagles. The Eagles' 1976 masterpiece became one of rock's most iconic songs, but its meaning has been debated for decades. The band members have said it's about the dark side of the American dream and the excesses of California lifestyle in the 1970s. Don Henley later explained that the hotel represents a metaphor for the hedonism and self-destruction that came with success in Los Angeles. The song explores themes of addiction, materialism, and spiritual emptiness. The famous line about checking out but never leaving refers to being trapped by your own vices and choices. The band was experiencing massive success when they wrote it, and that success came with access to excess. Drugs, alcohol, and the relentless party culture of 1970s Los Angeles created an environment where people lost themselves. The haunting guitar solo and Don Henley's vocals captured that sense of being caught in something beautiful and terrible at once. The song's ambiguity allowed different interpretations. Some thought it was about Satanism or a specific building, but the band maintained it was about a state of mind, a place you enter that changes you permanently, the darkness at the heart of the California dream where paradise becomes a prison. Number 2. Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Freddie Mercury's 1975 operatic masterpiece has fascinated listeners for decades, partly because Mercury never explained what it meant. The cryptic lyrics and dramatic structure created endless speculation. Many believe the song reflects Mercury's inner turmoil about his sexuality and guilt over past relationships. Growing up in a conservative Parsi family, Mercury struggled with his identity and the expectations placed on him. The song's references to killing someone, facing judgment, and Beelzebub having a devil set aside suggest a confession of some kind. The operatic section's chaos and the hard rock section's defiance feel like someone fighting themselves and losing. Mercury poured something deeply personal into the song, but kept its specific meaning private. His bandmates knew better than to ask what it meant. The theatrical brilliance of the song, with its distinct movements and genre shifts, came from Mercury's personal torment transformed into art. He was grappling with who he was versus who he was supposed to be, and that struggle produced one of rock's most unique and powerful songs. Mercury took the song's true meaning to his grave. We're left with something beautiful and haunting, created from pain we can only imagine. Number 1. Without You by Harry Nilsson.
If living is without you, I can't live.
Harry Nilsson's 1971 version of Without You became one of the decade's most powerful ballads. But the song came from Pete Ham and Tom Evans of the band Badfinger, and their story adds tragic weight to every note.
If living is without you, I can't live.
Ham and Evans wrote the song for Badfinger in 1970, originally as 2 separate song fragments that they combined. The band was signed to the Beatles' Apple Records and had experienced some success, but they were caught in management and financial disputes that would haunt them for years. Ham and Evans poured genuine heartache into the song, though at the time they couldn't have known how prophetic those feelings would become.
I can't forget this evening and your face.
Badfinger's version didn't become a major hit, but it didn't become a major hit until Nilsson recorded his version. Nilsson's emotional delivery transformed it into a heartbreaking anthem about lost love. The raw vulnerability in his voice, the way he pushed his vocal range to its limits, connected with millions of listeners. His version topped charts worldwide and became one of 1972's biggest hits. What makes the song truly disturbing is what happened to its writers. Both Pete Ham and Tom Evans suffered from depression and struggled with the music industry's exploitation. Their manager, Stan Polly, had allegedly mismanaged their finances, leaving them broke despite their success. Ham felt betrayed and trapped, watching his career and finances destroyed by people he'd trusted. Ham hanged himself in his garage in 1975 at age 27. He left a note expressing his despair over financial problems and management disputes. His suicide note mentioned Polly by name, holding him responsible for his despair. Tom Evans carried on for years after Ham's death, but he never fully recovered from losing his friend and bandmate. He fought his own demons, dealing with ongoing financial struggles and depression. The music industry had chewed them up and spit them out. In 1983, Evans also took his own life by hanging, almost exactly 8 years after his bandmate and friend. He was 36 years old. The song's themes of emptiness and not being able to go on without someone took on horrifying new meaning after the suicides of both writers. Every time Nilsson sang about not being able to live, about not being able to go on, he was singing words written by men who ultimately couldn't go on.
If living is without you, I can't live.
The songs we love carry more weight than we realize. Behind the melodies that soundtracked your youth were real people dealing with violence, addiction, heartbreak, and loss. Some found healing in their music, others couldn't escape their pain. The next time you hear these familiar hits, you'll hear them differently, knowing the true stories that created them. If you found these stories as compelling as we did, give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the music that defined an era.